Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Don't come too close to the screen because I've still got the lurgy, the sniffles and the sore throat and everything, but what can I say? I'm a martyr. I'm a martyr for you guys. I'll carry on. Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk more about me. No. Let's talk about Frank Warren, Adam Catterall, talkSPORT. Now, I watched two videos earlier today, and you may have already seen them. The first one was was with Frank Warren ambushing Adam Catterall at the end of the Magnificent Seven show, which, by the way, was magnificent. I absolutely loved that show. I've got to give Warren and Queensberry all the credit in the world for that. It was a brilliant show. But he ambushed Adam Catterall over things he'd been saying about Tyson Fury and how Fury had ducked Dusek and all this, which he had. And he started putting it on him and ranting and, Now, the thing about a situation like that is when you ambush someone, they're not ready, obviously, because it's an ambush. So they don't have, their thought process isn't whirring, it isn't ticking over. They haven't mentally sort of sifted through the issue that's being raised. And Warren jumped from issue to issue. He jumped from Usyk Fury to Usyk Chisora, mandatories. He also mentioned Zhang and Joyce for some reason. He went through. Now, even if you're an extremely knowledgeable boxing person, if you're caught off guard, you're going to have to pause for thought and think about what's being said, which gives the quote-unquote opponent a chance to sort of turn the screws further. So it wasn't really fair that Warren did this, although, he's entitled to do it, and Catterall, to his credit, because Warren was going, you ain't got the balls to face me on camera. I think it was an IFL interview. And Catterall said, all right, you want to talk, we'll talk. So he really just mostly listened. Now, I don't know much about Adam Catterall, but I don't watch talkSPORT. I watch the little bits and pieces that appear on YouTube. So I sort of know who he is. And it seems to me like not only was he caught off guard, he's not the type of guy whose boxing knowledge is sort of second to none. He's not the type of guy who will be able to pull facts and figures out of his head. I mean, I follow boxing religiously, but if someone caught me off guard, I'd have to just stand there and let them have their rant and then go away, think about it, and then I might retort later. But he doesn't strike me, Adam Catterall, as being, completely knowledgeable. So he kind of knows something that's factually true, but he can't go into it intricately and deconstruct it and put it back together. Certainly not on the hop, you know what I mean? So Frank had his little rant, and then the second video I watched was Simon Jordan on talkSPORT. It was only about 5 minutes long, 4 or 5 minutes long, and he was addressing this issue, and he said that Adam Catterall is entitled to his opinion, which of course he is, as is Frank Warren. You shouldn't stifle debate, or freedom of speech is everything, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. Perhaps not so much in modern society, but that's a video for another time. But Simon Jordan kind of had a go at Frank. He said, I understand why he did it, but I thought he was out of order. And he said, Frank, it was kind of a cheap shot of Frank to grab Adam and just get stuck into him. Now, all right, that may be true, but the thing that interested me about that video is that Simon Jordan was being very critical, almost aggressively critical, of Frank Warren. And this is what many of us, myself included, have criticised in the past, because Simon Jordan has been pleasant almost to the point of sycophancy with Frank Warren. And the most he's ever done is sort of gently, prod and poke him over certain issues. Well, now he seems to be adopting a different tactic. And I just wonder if the fact that there was such an internet backlash on a lot of boxing channels against Simon Jordan and calling him basically, a stooge or a shill for Warren and Queensberry, I just wonder if that's had an effect on him. And he's thinking, you know what, I'm getting this reputation as being a bit of a stooge for certain promoters. I need to, reconsider what I'm doing and act in a different manner. Otherwise, I'm going to lose all credibility. It's a matter of opinion whether he has any credibility, of course, but Now people are entitled to change their minds. They're entitled to get wake-up calls. They're entitled to say, do you know what? I didn't behave well then. I've got to behave better now. That's called life. That's called learning. So if Jordan is turning over a new leaf, and heaven knows he's made a bit of a tit of himself at various intervals in the past, maybe he has learned from his questionable attitude in the past, and maybe he is now, moving forward to the point where he will criticise Warren and he will get him on the air and he will get stuck into him, just like he got stuck into Eddie Hearn. And I've never met Eddie Hearn. I've never met Frank Warren. Well, actually, I did meet Frank Warren a few times actually, but very, very briefly. Say hello and that was it. But I've never met Eddie Hearn. But I'm not the greatest fan of certainly over the Conor Benn issue. I've criticised him multiple times on this channel. But if you're going to treat one person like the way Catterall, the way Simon Jordan treated Eddie Hearn, for it to be morally consistent, for you to have any credibility, you've got to treat everyone else the same. And he hasn't done that in the past. So I hope that he's going to do it from now on. Because the one thing about talkSPORT is, and I don't watch it, I watch the bits and pieces on YouTube, but they do seem to talk about boxing quite a lot. That's from what I can gather. And that alone is worth a lot, because boxing in the UK is still pretty much a niche sport. It's not something that, you can't compare it to, say, Premiership football. If I was running a Premiership football channel and I knew a lot about Premiership football, I'd probably have, thousands and thousands of subscribers. As it happens, I've got a small channel, Small ones are more juicy, as I tell the ladies. But, that's great. Quality, not quantity, I get it. But boxing is a niche sport. So the fact that talkSPORT are talking about boxing, are raising certain issues, which some of us can say, well, I agree with that, or what a rubbish that is, that's a good thing. That's good for boxing. So I approve of talkSPORT overall, even though I think my opinion on Gareth A. Davies. But, look, if I met Gareth, I might get on with him. I might like him. I know people that have met him. I've never met him. And they say he likes to drink and he likes to smoke and he's a little bit narcissistic. But you never know. I might get on with these people. And I might get on. I think I'll probably get on with Adam Catterall all right. Maybe even Simon Jordan. But yeah, I approve of talkSPORT, what they're doing. They're talking about boxing. They're mentioning it. These little vids are popping up on YouTube. Can't be a bad thing. Can't be a bad thing. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Leave your thoughts below. If you can subscribe to this channel, if you're new, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. I'll answer your comments. I'll have a read of them. I don't get a chance to answer everyone just because there ain't enough hours in the day. So you get to the point where there's lots and lots of comments. But rest assured, I do read them. So if I don't get a chance to reply, please don't think I'm ignoring you. I do reply to your comments. We'll read your comments. And I'll reply to as many as possible. All right, thanks very much. I'll catch you later, and bye for now.